Thiago Motta is one of the biggest coaching prospects in the football world. He finished fifth with Bologna, a team which normally fights for relegation. And outstandingly, he achieved it with an offensive and possession-based approach, which was enough for Juventus to fire Allegri and bring in the young Italian. But Motta's coaching path wasn't always as easy as you might think it was. As a player, he played for a lot of top teams like PSG, Inter Milan, Atletico Madrid, and FC Barcelona. At his time as a player, he was therefore coached by Jose Mourinho, Pep Guardiola, Gian Piero Gasperini, Carlo Ancelotti, Laurent Blanc, and Unai Emery. All of these coaches had an influence on how Motta approaches his game. He retired in 2018 and became the coach from the U19 squad of PSG. After one successful year in the French capital, he chose to return to his home country of Italy and went to his former club Genoa, but got fired just 10 games later with a points-per-game ratio of 0.9. 1.5 years later, in July 2021, he was appointed as Spezia Calcio's new manager. As Spezia is a weaker team in the Serie A, he fought for relegation for most of the season but went on to finish in 16th place, which kept Spezia in the league. Even though his points-per-game ratio this season wasn't particularly great with 0.98, he is one of few coaches who stayed inside Italian's top flight with the Ligurian club. They were relegated 1 year later, but without Motta, as he joined Bologna for the following season. In his first season, he finished 9th, which was the highest finish in a decade for the club, but that was soon to be changed because in the last season, he managed to get an incredible 5th place with the underdog, securing Champions League football for the first time in nearly 60 years. Under him, Bologna went nearly unbeaten against the Italian top clubs, only conceding 2 losses against Inter and AC Milan on matchday 1 and 28. But as I said, he not only managed to do so with an underdog, but with an offensive and aggressive playstyle, which is shown in the statistics. On average, he has around 56% possession per 90 minutes and scored 1.42 goals per game and only conceded 0.84 on average. And as I said, this was enough for Juventus to sign the young prospect, as they only finished 3 points in front in 3rd place. But what makes his tactics so special? And what is his 2-7-2 formation? Well, he likes to play either a traditional 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 formation. In the build-up play, he plays short passes to the center-backs. If the center-backs are being pressed, both pivots drop deep to create an overload. In a 4-3-3 it looks similar but different. In this case, only one pivot will drop deep and a center-back will push forward. Now, to fill the space left by the center-back, the goalkeeper will advance and join the second center-back in the build-up. When the center-back joins the pivot, one of the 2 number 8s can push forward, pushing the opposing press back, which frees up space for both full-backs to advance on the wings. That's where the progression really begins. The number 8 will drop wide to help both the wingers and the full-backs to advance, creating a wide trio. From there on, the trios will try to combine themselves into the offense. But on the wings, they won't try to cross, but instead try to combine inside patiently with a lot of short passes and rotation. The center forward will drop to help the trio. All cross-delivered are from narrow positions inside the penalty area. The combination on the wings tears the defense apart and are therefore creating space in the middle, helping the midfielders pushing into the dangerous area and the center back into the midfield. All this looks like a 4-1-4-1 in-game. When Motta fights a team with player marking, he will switch to a 4-2-3-1, with the midfield trio rotating as much as possible, dragging the marking players elsewhere to create space in behind the opposing lines for the striker to use and on the wings for both the wingers and the fullbacks. Out of possession, Bologna plays a player-oriented marking with counter-pressing. In general, it relies on a lot of tackles, duels, and interceptions. Last season, Bologna had the second most interceptions per 90 minutes in Serie A. If the ball is not won back quickly, they will form a block in the form of a 4-4-1-1 or 4-4-2. The wingers will work back early, so they have 4 players covering the wings and 6 players covering the midfield, with the number 10 and the striker closing down as many passing options in the midfield as possible. At Spezia, they acted really passively, having the lowest passing per defensive action in the league, which changed with Bologna. At Bologna, they fell into a block higher up the pitch, which also meant that the defenders must be comfortable defending the space in behind. The focus also shifts towards the goalkeeper, as he needs to be a sweeper keeper. In terms of the player marking, they opt for a fixated approach. The opposing fullbacks will be covered by the winger, the opposing winger will be covered by the fullbacks, and the opposing midfielder by the midfielder, and so on. Having man-oriented marking means they have a lot of physical demand on the team. And lastly, let's find out what's behind his famous 2-7-2 formation. This formation comes from the original 4-1-4-1 formation, but instead of looking vertically, the 2-7-2 is seen horizontally. Both twos are the fullbacks and the wingers and the 7 in the middle, including the goalkeeper, as he is part of the build-up play. This approach will change the football world, because the goalkeeper will be integrated in the build-up play more and more in the future. What do you think about Thiago Motta? Is he good enough to coach one of the biggest clubs in Europe? And what do you think about his tactics? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one.